Welcome back to Lesbo and the Bean.
Lesbo and the Bean.
I don't know if you're anything like me, but I didn't know what to do with myself over this last weekend. I tried to take the girl out, tried to go do this and that, but she doesn't want to hang out with me as much as I don't want to hang out with me sometimes. All of a sudden, it's like, all right, we had enough time. Let's watch a movie, and so things are going good for the Bean.
I was like, I don't know what to do with myself.
Look
up conspiracies. I know every conspiracy. Let me look. You know what? I ended up watching the very first Michael Keaton Batman.
That's a classic. It's been years. It's been years since I've seen that film.
Black and white, red and green. You know when they're at the museum?
Yeah.
And they're like painting over everything.
Oh, it's been so long.
Yeah.
Barely remember it. I need to go back. That is a classic. Tim Burton directed that, did he not?
Yeah, and it's so beautifully shot. Each scene really looks like it could be a drawing out of an old school comic book. It's something different than the other, but you can't compare it to the Christian Bale Batman because the Christian Bale Batman was reality-based Batman, whereas that Batman was very comic book, down to like
it's
the
just
ladies,
like Tim Burton.
Like they got a case of the Joker, which kind of looks like the Verdun face.
That is very true, and one of the scarier faces I remember as a kid was that face. Jack Nicholson's like, yeah, the smile like, other people got it.
Love that Joker.
So, there was a ton of combat sports. It wasn't UFC related, but there was a ton of boxing. What did you
do for that time that would have been normally UFC time on Saturday?
Ended up having a dinner and then just watching anything and everything on TV.
Did you watch Coco?
Didn't end up watching that. Ended up watching the Cloverfield Paradox.
Oh, okay.
It was good. I really liked it just because I'm into those kind of sci-fi movies. The time travel, the sequencing sometimes didn't make sense, some of the actual time framing, but because it's more of a series with like 3 episodes now with Cloverfield Lane, and now the Paradox, you can see where number 4 is around the corner. But for me, it's hard for television and or movies to do time travel, and I'm iffy if they're doing it right so far. They're setting it up in a really unique way. Exactly, until the 4th one comes out.
The way I'd set up a time traveler movie,
let's hear it,
is it would have to be layers of you not running into each other. Because once you time travel once, there's more than one version of you.
This plays with a lot of that.
I think that it would have to be, and you would send off parallel versions of the same you.
This plays into all of that. Yeah, so it's really good in its dimension. It goes into multiple dimensions and stuff, but you get what you want out of it. And if you are a buff of the other movies, it really syncs up well where you're like, oh, wow. But it opens a lot of more questions, I'd say.
We need UFC. If you're not going to have... Look where we're at right now.
Yeah,
I just went into how beautiful Batman the original was with Michael Keaton, and he's fucking time traveling.
For many reasons. So, some of the fight stuff that did go on, though, we had a lot of European cards, a lot of gifts going out there, some good Muay Thai, some good MMA fights, or I don't know if on a regular week I'd say good. I'd say there'd be some other MMA fights going on, but seen some gnarly knockouts, some good finishes. I'm really liking the diversity I'm seeing in the mixed martial arts world now, as how proficient all of these guys are in leg locks and or just very unique scrambles, where we're starting to see really unique submissions coming out of people, and they're not flukes. That guy will tell you, I've been practicing that move for 3 weeks. Nobody's seen it before.
And then everyone does it.
Exactly.
That's what this sport's so amazing.
That's why.
And you can almost look at like something like parkour and think, look at all that they're still doing with their bodies. Look at how far the sport still has to go once you implement all that. Because you can see the parts of the sport that are dance. And you can see the parts of the sport that are animal, reactions that look like what an animal would do. Mm-hmm. I just think this next level of MMA, where is it going to go?
It's fun to see.
And you know how we also say the girls have just grown, like what took the men 20 years, the women have kind of done in, 6. Mm-hmm. And like just, kind of skyrocketed. Do you ever think there'll be a point where we see them even out or the women surpass?
I don't think ever surpass. Call me sexist.
Yeah.
I don't think surpass necessarily, but I do think that they'll eventually even out, and the quality of fighter will be just as good. I just do think that that's still probably like 15 years away.
Because of women and the evolution of them in the sport, that women will branch off and discover maybe a martial art that is more cohesive to their body, that maybe they would be the best at, that a man would. Like, women have stronger legs, usually per capita of size of themselves.
Sure.
So it's like, I don't know, do you think there's any other, do you think we still have evolution that way? Or
I do, and there's some women out there that definitely can put a beating on just about anybody. I've met some women that aren't overweight. They're literally just 6'4" linebackers.
Yeah.
And they're not muscular, they don't do, but they could be if they wanted to.
Same as dudes, like you see all the time,
Yeah,
and you're like,
just,
that big, enormous, strong guy, guy that picks up kegs and throws them over the wall. They're never lean and cut like Luke.
And their wives are usually the wives that you're just like, she's not a power lifter. They're like, no, she just has 6 kids from that monster.
You're like laundry. She just does laundry.
Yeah.
She makes all my meals, all my protein meals, and my buffalo elk steak, and I do this powerlifting and throw big, long logs.
So with the MMA male versus female, there was I don't know if it's sanctioned, but I was seeing on the verse there that there's about, I believe, 125 between a young man and a woman in Brazil somewhere. So it's happening in the jungle. They're having some sort of jungle fight. She looked like a very muscular young lady. I don't have the picture on me, but she
not all women could, but could you imagine? This is opening up the door to what we talked about last time.
There's been a couple already. I've seen a few online. You can look back and they'll be on YouTube where a guy has fought a lady, and sorry to say, ladies, most of the time they lose. One of the few times that's won, GDR. She had boxing gloves on and challenged a guy to just boxing, and she tore him apart. But he was also some news reporter. Like, he was never an athlete, where I believe this is an actual MMA fighter against another MMA fighter. So, I don't know how to feel about it. I don't know how to feel about it. Yeah.
We will see.
There has been a few changes with UFC 223. Is it Alban Mercier's fight has fallen out again?
Oh, I thought he got a fight.
He did. Again? We're getting there. It fell out with Akhmedov, and then already Evan Dunham has chose to step in. So Alban Mercier still has a fight.
That's when I saw the Dunham step in, and I was like, I didn't even know it was scheduled for 2 days.
Well, the other fight was supposed to go on with Akhmedov, or no, Taisuvov, one of them Dagestani mofos. So Evan Dunham now is coming in short notice to find, what does this do for Mercier? What does this do for Dunham? Dunham has nothing to lose. Mercier is coming in against a longtime veteran. I don't want to fully break down the fight, but just some of the relevant stuff that's been going on right now.
It's going to be a boring grind. That's how I see that fight going in my head with those two style wrestlers. I feel like they're both grinders.
Dunham is much more of the kickboxing, especially late. As of late. Mercier really tries to get it to the ground, and I think he can get tooled apart there, but on the ground. Dunham's no slouch. With other
fights, both those fighters.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, it's a fun weird.
But Mercier, I don't think's taken any easy fights. Every single one of these fallout or issues he's had with the fights are against top quality fighters. Dunham isn't a washout by any means, and people that say they are don't know what they're looking at. Dunham just has hard fights.
Any MMA podcasts or any MMA media over the last few days?
The usual. I do my Ariel MMA Junkie and Jack Slack. He's been, as of late, bringing out more stuff. But I'll get on the Twitterverse and or YouTube and try to look for stuff. But I just can't find something that I've stuck with. And nothing that I notably found over the weekend that I'm like, oh, yay.
I like the Weasel's breakdown of greatest women fighter of all time.
Interesting. I don't think I saw that.
It starts with Ronda.
Okay.
And it goes through her, how you have to put her in the conversation. And anyone that says other than that they're a fair weather fan. They don't get what she did for women's MMA, and they don't realize how amazing her record still is. Like, I think she's 10-2 or something like that. And especially in that division, which no women
at the top caliber. She had like one pro fight that was a nobody, and then it was right to the top.
Yeah, and even Amanda Nunes, who's also in the discussion, she has not as good of a record as Ronda Rousey.
Sure.
She's like 9-4 or something.
But she's the legend killer now.
The reason she's in the conversation, which he was talking, I don't want to give away the whole entire podcast. I think you should check out the Weasel MMA Examiner on YouTube. I think it's really interesting. He's taught me a lot of things about moves that I would just describe the move to you, or now I know names of moves, or I can see things. I started paying attention to footwork. I just think it's for somebody like me who, and probably guys who are into fighting, but I haven't ever done a discipline. So in layman's terms, I get it a little more. He's kind of like a Joe Rogan of podcast in that way of like ringside, how Joe will or Dominic Cruz
breaking down shit. I'm a big fan of BJJ Scott. I've said it many, many times here. He breaks down good stuff. Gambled Up as well. He does a lot of ground stuff, but the YouTube that I did go and look back, even though he hasn't posted too much new stuff, is I think the Mixed Martial Art Analyst, and he does essentially the Weasel stuff where he breaks it down with other stuff. But I've gotten back into that Insta a little bit, and the MMA community's so heavy in it. There's so much more breakdowns that I have started to get on that Instagram. Maybe you'll find me on there. I'm going to need to switch up my name and attach it to Lesbo and the Bean here. So
no, just started a Lesbo and the Bean. I think we already have a Lesbo and the Bean Instagram.
Oh, dang. Well,
yeah.
I need to get on that because I just don't go to it enough. And that's where I just started to get back into it and realize that I'm 2000 and late. That's where everybody's at.
Where the progression of the show, hopefully, once we get it all running and cords galore and equipment galore, we'll be able to do Instagram Live, YouTube Live, and I would like to do the Periscope Live. I think to be able to reach out to a whole bunch of different communities and places. You never know when you're in an airport and you're like, oh, I just need to listen to MMA. Anything. I'll take what I can get, even if it's
MMA time travel.
Lesbo and the Bean.
MMA time travel.
I know.
Conspiracy.
I could have time traveled into your ear and said, listen to Lesbo and the Bean. And then I'm back here because time and space, if you believe in the string theory, that's for another podcast.
That is. Other MMA stuff that's been going down.
I've seen some fights happening.
Scheduled bouts is what you're talking about.
Yeah. So we got, is this real? Swanson versus Lowbob.
That already happened, I thought.
April 22nd, Saturday. This is old.
Yeah. Swanson pieced apart Lowbob for 5 rounds. Lowbob's tough as nails. Lowbob, I do think, has a fight coming up.
What is this person doing to me? I do think Lowbob he has a fight against
Caceres.
Bruce Lee.
Caceres! That's 223.
That's your most exciting fight.
Yeah.
You were like, that's your most anticipated fight of 2018. And I'm like, Khabib Ferguson. And he's like, Caceres Lowbob.
Yeah, that's it. That's going to be a spin fest. I do like Lowbob's hammer fist, though. I will highlight him every time we break him down. He does a standing hammer fist that lands, and it landed on Cub. It's fun. It's not going to do anything. But it's really, really fun.
What else is going on? Till still won't pick a fight. I see him everywhere. And I'm like, he knocked out Cowboy. How long is he going to run on the steam of that coal? Cowboy's had 3 fights since then. Against murkers. Against killers.
But is it because people want to call out because they see what we might be seeing in the later part of Donald Cerrone's career, unfortunately?
But I like Darren Till.
I agree, but it's
I'm
not
a hype
fight.
train writer like everybody else is with Darren Till. He was a good underdog for us, for a Leslie Smith underdog pick, but to me, he's young, and if I were him, well, then you play the Conor McGregor, get in, get the money, and get out while you're young. Everyone gets so mad at that, but you can't.
This is why, because you don't want to be a Donald Cerrone who's doing really well for himself, but fighting was a big part. I know he has BMF Ranch, and hopefully franchises somehow, because he is a personality that should get paid.
I know what I had to tell you. Speaking of the ladies, I don't know if it was Lesbo and the Bean. It could have been. No one else was calling for it as hard as we were, but it doesn't look like Nunes Cyborg's happening. It looks like Nunes Pennington is happening, which is kind of the fight I wanted the divisions to grow. I'd rather
because
see
that's
Megan
already been
Anderson.
Slated, right?
Well, it was slated, and then Dana came on after the Cyborg fight and said, Cyborg Nunes is the fight everyone wants to see. We're going to make that happen and put it on this big card, blah, blah, blah. But I want Rocky to fight Nunes.
those fights are going to happen for me. So to me, it doesn't matter. Cyborg ain't going anywhere.
Nunes will move up in weight
soon.
eventually.
Yeah.
I believe she's naturally going to move up in weight.
So that's why
eventually anyway.
I'm okay with this Pennington staying in the fight against Nunes. Maybe the belt changes, maybe it doesn't, but it doesn't matter. All of those women are going to fight each other. Hopefully Pennington gets a Cyborg fight and Nunes fight. Like
I agree with you.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it now so we can see the other fights as quickly as possible. With all that oversaturation that everybody's been talking about as well lately with UFC and everything, this is what you're getting. You're getting this kind of talk because we ain't got no oversaturation. We ain't worried about no oversaturation. There is all these awesome up-and-coming fighters, but what I do feel like is, I was thinking about it, getting into and watching all of these prospects, is there's so much to watch and there's not enough time. There is so, if you see a fighter that you may like, try getting film on them and then watching that and then trying to retain all that while going on with it. It's
Aren't you glad you don't have to go to the library and look through the card catalog?
Be able to just look it up via GIFs now.
Like right through the card catalog, the Dewey Decimal, trying to find fight info.
It is nice. That Fight Pass does tend to work out pretty nice for a lot of the within UFC studies and stuff, but you can really break stuff down. The players getting better. Now, from what I've heard on the table, it is Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, and there's another bid. Fox, is it? Against Fox?
Fox.
But those are the companies
agree.
going
what have we
for.
been saying from the beginning?
Netflix, baby. Give me that.
And we will sell out to Netflix.
I'll pay $2 more Netflix.
Hashtag Netflix, hashtag Lesbo and the Bean. Start that tweet. Get them knowing. Get them listening, because I would love to do a live UFC show for Netflix. That would be my dream. That's my manifestation.
That would be a dream.
No offense, YouTube. Hashtag hearts for YouTube. But getting on the Netflix and UFC getting on the Netflix so I can have all my shit in one place. I would, even if I could get my pay-per-views from them for an extra cost, I would love that.
It'd be pretty nice. It'd be pretty nice.
That. I'd be done with Fox Night, done with Fight Pass.
Living the dream.
Right on the Netflix.
Living the dream.
We've been saying Netflix from the beginning.
From the beginning. They've been listening from the beginning. Better not be stealing any ideas, Netflix, or just cut a brother in. Just saying. Cut a LaTB in. Other UFC Joanna versus Rose. A lot of people are coming out with post-study stuff on that. It is really interesting, the two dynamics of it. I guess we've said that we don't want to go too far into it because they're still so far out. Habib, Tony Ferguson, I feel like every other day I'm seeing a post that says Habib's out of the fight, and I cry a little inside, and then I find out that it's not, like, every day.
Assholes.
It's such a... You're playing with my heart.
Look at my boyfriend. Can you see that without a glare?
Ooh, is that Le Pons? Those ears do not look that big. In
person?
In real life, they're so much bigger.
I didn't even notice. But he calls out, I guess, Wonder Boy or Cat, or not. I guess it wouldn't be that would be one hell of a fight.
That would be
Wonder Boy or Donald Cerrone.
Again, everyone's calling out Donald Cerrone, and Wonder Boy's a tough fight. I don't see anybody calling out the Pons. Has there been anyone? Hernandez just called out. Who did he call? The guy who just got ranked, beat Dariush. He just called out a really fun one that nobody's been saying.
I don't know.
Oh, it was a tough fight. It's not a no one. Might be a Darren Till. He said it a few times. But either way,
but
Hernandez calling out people.
I want to see Usman Till. That's the fight I want to see.
Till ain't going to sign that contract. I guarantee it. But you can trust us.
Or what I think I might like more is Covington Usman. You want to see that too.
That's my all-time. That's my dream matchup right now in the UFC. Outside these belt matchups, Colby versus Usman. That's the fight to make. That is just all the way around such a fun fight.
I know all the Usman haters. I kind of.
You don't have that trust.
Talking about.
You don't have that trust like
LaTB. Usman.
Like LaTB. So, and by the way, when you see that blown up somewhere, when you're gonna see Kamaru wearing a shirt, remember you heard it here first at LaTB. Nobody had trust Us, man. Other than us.
Yeah, we've been backing Usman since we stopped backing Jordan Masvidal. We always backed Usman though. Since he was back in the Tough House, we always liked Usman. And not that we still don't back Game Bread. We still back Game Bread. Everybody loves Game Bread.
A lot of money to be made there.
So Jose Aldo believes Frankie Edgar made an error by accepting a short notice fight with Brian T. City. Because he lost?
Of course, that's right.
Because he lost?
Right.
Thank you for that. Jose, hindsight is 2020 Aldo.
Is that his new nickname?
And the poster for Ferguson Khabib with Rose like this. I love that poster.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
One of the few ones they got right?
Yeah, I love it. I just like how they got Rose, and I think it's a perfect thing to say to JJ. Like, just a little...
JJ isn't stopping. That mouth's going a mile a minute.
I can't wait till the press conference for 223.
That's what I'm excited for.
Oh, it's going to be such a big fight week. It's going to be such a big fight week. What else is going on? Didn't somebody call out Jose Aldo?
I think there's been a few people.
Jeremy
Stevens?
Jose Aldo's booked, I think. I think that fight's actually booked.
That's a fun one. I think I heard Jeremy calling him out, but if he's taking it, that's an interesting matchup. That Novun, yeah.
Felice Herring, KK, that's UFC.
That's coming up. That's coming up. We're getting there. That's a hell of a fight. I can't wait for that one.
That's a great fight.
There's so many close matchups in that entire fight night. We have the UFC coming up this next weekend. We're going to have a breakdown for you guys on Wednesday. DraftKings line should be out by then. If not, here coming out soon because we've had enough time to get ready for them. Betting lines will be out. There's a lot of research that was done. Well, I think 2 or 3 day viewers, so get ready for that. That's coming.
I can't wait. I know. I wish 223 was this weekend.
I know.
Because I'm like, what are the chances the aliens come, the comets strike, the earthquakes, the hurricanes, all the way? I'm like, if Khabib and Tony make it, will we all make it? Like, is the Earth gonna spin off its axis when they axis? Like, is it gonna?
Unless it's a flat Earth.
Is it, if it's a flat Earth, is it gonna be like coin flipped, like flip, right off its? Flat?
We're gonna see. It's such an interesting dynamic, such an interesting fight. There's a few other ones.
That fight sickens me. I'm gonna be so intense at that fight, like the nerves of that fight when it starts.
What's the co-main there?
Oh my, that is the co-main.
Oh.
Wait, is that the main event?
I believe that's the main event.
The co-main's JJ Rose, and then it's slithered with every single amazing fight that you can think of. From the KK Felice we were just talking about. I'm going to pull up UFC 233.
We've done this a few times.
I know, so what? This is our show. We don't have a fight to break down. What's going on over here? Okay. Let's see. Here is the card.
From the bottom.
I have to give a shout out to where I'm pulling it from, and you can follow at the MMA Bible. Good site for some up-to-the-minute MMA news. So, let me work from the bottom to the top. Magomedov Sharipov. Zabit. Yeah, totally. Yep. Versus Bojniak.
He just fought.
Bruce Leroy versus Lobov.
Oh,
These are all fight of the
night. Fight of the night.
There you go. Really, 223. We need to make a poster 223 with them on it.
Fight of the night. Fight of the night, baby.
Okay, and this is all still Fight Pass. Rollins Evan Smith.
Oh, I really hate that one too.
It's gonna be a little like this.
Yo.
I can see a weird elbow and somebody giving up. Both those girls.
That's why it's such a weird fight.
Funky. Lozon Gruchmaka.
That's fun.
Then we go to the FS1 prelims, and you got Dunham Mercier, Clark Rodriguez, Borg Marino.
That one's crazy.
I see a Leslie from Underdog pick ahead of time, maybe on that.
That one's nuts.
KK Herring. That's a good fight. And then you go to the main card, and I think this is the fight of the night. Iaquinta Felder.
Yeah, that's such a sick-ass fight, too.
Chiesa Pettis.
Again, interesting dynamics.
Mokano Qatar. That's a weird one for the main card with these ones on the FS.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Namajunas JJ. Janjacek. And then Ferguson Nurmagomedov. This is this card. This card could be the sweetest card of the whole year. If anything falls out,
I know.
they all need each other because
I
as much
agree.
as huge real fans, the Ferg Tony fight is everything. To come latelys, they won't get that fight. That's going to be so intricate, and most of it's not going to even happen until it hits the mat. That fight's not even going to be real until it hits the fucking mat.
That's the thing, though. Oof, I've been watching some elbow work on Ferg. Woo! I'm switching every day. I'm going back and forth on those fighters. Every day I see a breakdown or something different with each one. I'm like, done. Wrist control, done. Oh, he can't get there if he gets his eyes poked out beforehand. I don't know what to think. There is so many. We've broken it down so many times.
Part of me, I don't know if I don't want to be biased because I feel like I don't want to be a Khabib hater. I don't want to be. But I am also, for a fact, a Tony lover. I'm a 10th Planet lover, an Eddie Bravo lover, an El Kukui lover. So I feel like all this, I can't ever go back. Sometimes I get nervous for him, but I believe in him like a weird superhero. He's like, he wouldn't even be a superhero. He'd be one of those people in the comic books that, depending on the situation, he might be a good guy, he might be a bad guy. Tony Ferguson needs to be. He's a weird guy.
He's a weird guy.
He's a weirdo. But I like his weirdness. I think he's authentic to himself, and that's my number one quality I look for in people. I just want him to be authentic to themselves.
I could argue, and have seen people argue that he isn't, because he didn't come out with the flashy Kukui style till after Conor. He used to just be like jeans and a t-shirt guy until he was like, whoa. Then he wore glasses that whole time, and we were like, what?
But don't you think part of that's age too? Don't you think like when you're in your like earlier 20s, you tend to dress more t-shirty, and the older you get, you don't mind a button up occasionally.
It's yeah.
You like, can't you see like at first, like when you first get into the fame, how the sneakers and like dressing that style's cool, and then you get tighter and tighter and tighter. And Conor brought in that, but basketball's been doing that shit for years. Basketball's been dressing high and tight for years.
GSP was one of the first to do the suits
in UFC. But the basketball players. Even go back to your high school days when you look at the team sports, certain of them had to dress nice on their game days.
Yep.
I think that
wrestlers we had to wear a tie. We had to wear
I think that's good.
Yep.
I think that's kind of
or else you couldn't wrestle that night, and it's just like putting all that work. Of course you're gonna wear a suit.
I like the business.
Stupid kids would not wear it because they'd be like, you can't tell me what to wear, and it's like, you know what you're getting into. This was on the rules from day one. Don't think you cool.
On the day you wore that, because I know dudes in my school, when they were wearing it, all the ladies were like, whoa, look at you today.
All the time, especially when you're a fit young man because you're wrestling and lean and mean. You don't wear that baggy ass stuff. You wear it nice and slick, body fitting. I know they're making slim fit nowadays.
Yeah, and you know what, GSP, he might have started the game in MMA, but he has been surpassed by a lot of dudes.
Oh yeah, by far.
Even little Frankie Edgar's bringing
it's like Ronda.
Tight,
but it's like Ronda, you gotta give him the credit, because no one was doing that kind of shit before him.
Yeah, Conor did take it to a whole next level. And really, what can you top a fuck you pinstripe?
Even though I don't know if that's taken off or not. I don't know if it has. Do we know the sales?
We're not rolling in like Wall Street.
Supposedly, did you see? I'm sure that Whopper commercial eating that spicy chicken sandwich.
Have you noticed all your podcasts last week all were sponsored by Burger King?
I didn't hear my podcast sponsored by Burger King.
Every single one.
I work for Whopper. Double Whopper with cheese.
Every single one. Yeah, every single podcast I listened to on that same week that Conor was coming out with his Burger King commercials were all sponsored by Burger King. Which I thought was an interesting time for me to bring in how much I love Burger King. Yeah. And I remember how when I was a kid, we'd go to the Burger... Just kidding, you ain't get no free commercial from me, Burger King. I suck that dick. I don't like that Burger King. I put 10 things out of that Burger King.
I love me a Burger King. I love it more. Got me some free ass Burger King. Give me a Burger King card. Just give me a Burger King card. Come on, King.
I just am open to everything else. Like Burgerville.
That's West Coast. That's most West Coast.
I know it would be that much better if it was down the road in the old FL, little Burgerville. I would like some fat burger. I like some fat burger. I like Whataburger.
A fan.
Five Guys.
They got Five Guys around here. What's the one in In-N-Out?
I have to be honest though. I don't mind a Whopper.
I don't mind a double. Oh yeah, I can't do double whoppers no more. I
No.
ain't about that life no more. But I'll do a Whopper with cheese, and I will get down. It's not that flame grilled. It just, you can't compare.
It's
Can't
good.
compare.
It's good.
It is good.
McDonald's used to have the fries on point, but then they changed up the recipe.
You know what that was? I found out what it was.
They try to make it healthy and get rid of the trans fat.
They turned it from pork to vegetables. Damn, vegetables ruin everybody's life. For the last, no, eat your vegetables. Hide your cats, hide your weave. Hide your weave.
Hide your weave.
Hide your weave. Hide your kids.
Hide your weave.
Vegetables are raping everybody up in this bitch.
All right, what's going on? What else is happening? We can't keep talking about 223. We're gonna run out of steam for when we. Oh, look at this! Is a fun picture though. Can you see that?
Habib wearing glasses, as I was saying, indoors, and Tony wearing the hat, the funny.
It's not though. It's like a
gesture.
traditional Russian. hat.
Not funny. Sorry.
That was at madness_MMA. If anyone wants to follow that person, I don't want to steal credit. I don't want to cultural appropriate Twitter. That's another comment for another day, I guess. Oh, Team Khabib. Everything. Oh, I'm like, why is everything 223?
Oh, you were not that specific. Other gnarly knockouts. I've seen some beautiful spinning back fists as of late as well, and a lot of head kicks. But with all of the competition, they're fighting 1-in-1 fighters, so it's like, yeah, of course you're getting flash knockouts.
Have you heard about 50 Cent and Connor getting in a feud?
I saw rumblings of that, but I don't give two shits about 50 Cent, and it's all publicity.
I'm like, is this all being set up because 50 Cent's gonna fight Floyd in an MMA match? You know there has to be some sort of can like that for it.
Crazy.
And then Demi Lovato versus Kardashian.
Oh, I love to see that. Lovato's legitimately getting her Gracie belt, though. She don't play.
Demi Lovato versus... Let me really make it a real one. That is...
Hayden Panettiere.
Hayden Panettiere?
Hayden.
Oh, no, I feel like Demi Lovato wins that all day. I was actually going to put a real fighter.
No, I'm saying that Hayden is married to Klitschko, the boxer.
Yeah.
You know she gets down on that bit boxing with her husband?
Yeah,
Booyah, booyah,
Demi
booyah, booyah.
Lovato's like a friggin' purple or brown belt.
I think she's a blue belt.
Oh.
But it's Gracie Art, so she could be a purple belt at many
no,
other
I think,
gyms.
but I feel like she just got her
A
high
purple or
belt.
something? Good for her.
But it could have been the purple that she just graduated to. But I feel like she's
But
doing...
where she's getting it is legit, is what, like,
Yeah.
she's doing it fucking super legit. So,
Yeah.
good for her. So, not Hayden against
I
the
wasn't even
fighter.
a Demi Lovato fan until I found out about it.
She was dating Rockhold for a bit.
Oh, here's one. Dustin Poirier, Gaethje,
That is a fun one.
and Condit Brown.
Actually, a good point. Condon Brown. Ooh, that's actually a fight that's tougher.
It's good for both those fighters. That's a good fight.
That is a good fight.
For our...
Not a Diego Sanchez
Yes.
145er bastard.
But and it's like, that's a good fight for our older dudes we want to take care of.
Right.
Put them against each other.
So with the Gaethje versus Poirier, that's a really fun one. But former opponent of Justin Gaethje, the only loss this young man had over the weekend, came back and got another win in MMA. Nick Newell took 2 years off because after his loss and like win, he didn't know what he was doing, but got back into it, got into a winning category, and he is a young man with the right hand and only about here, the forearm. So he doesn't
the
have a
football
glove.
player?
No.
Oh, there's
He's
a
an
football
MMA.
player that just... Oh, that's
He's an
pretty
MMA
bad.
fighter. He's only lost once, and his only loss is to Justin Gaethje for the
Oh,
championship.
pretty cool.
He's got a good ground game. He has enough of a hook that he doesn't ever strike with it, but he can really use it to grapple and use it as a hook and gets a lot of submissions where a lot of people don't think he has. But with a guy with tons of pressure that's elite level, you're finding a one-handed boxer.
I'm worried about Gaethje unless he starts using his leg kicks. Like, really...
Poirier hits hard.
Yeah, I'm worried about Gaethje going forward. I think everyone just needs to make sure they hit that like and subscribe button for all things Lesbo and the Bean. They could go to lesboandthebean.com or follow us on Twitter at Lesbo and the Bean. If they want to reach out to us for any fan questions and don't have a Twitter account, they can always send us an email at lesboandthebean@gmail.com. All those things. I just wanted to put it out there. I don't know if there's anything else. that we need to give out. That's a lackluster show, but we got fights to break down Wednesday.
Exactly. Wednesday, we're going to bring it to you. Yeah, I guess I got nothing else. Thank you guys for coming along for the ride.
XOXO, pregnant lady heart. I'm not pregnant.
Mazzagatti heart.
I don't. Look.
That's what the beat.